Be a part of the Legal Marketing Show, the podcast dedicating to helping lawyers get more traffic, leads, and clients. Now, please welcome your host, lawyer, social media marketing strategist, and coach, Michele Vakili.
Hello, and welcome to the Legal Marketing Show. I am Michele Vakili, the host of the podcast, and where I feature the latest and greatest tips and tricks on social media legal marketing. So welcome to the show. And today you are in for an awesome treat. We have Corinna, who is an international expert on social media marketing. She has held and traveled the world worldwide. She has recently held a worldwide tour on all things social media, where people tuned in from all parts of the globe to learn from her regarding the cutting-edge strategies and what works in social media. Just as far as some background, Corinna had studied to get into television production, and only to have her dreams shattered, she discovered the very unstable nature of the industry and the myth of careers. Having been made redundant 5 times, by the time she reached only her mid-20s, 30s, not mid-20s, Corinna decided enough was enough, and she began her journey online. So she jumped in to the internet and the strategies, and she discovered the powerful strategies that allowed her to leverage the power of social media and the internet. So using these strategies, Corinna now makes $10,000 a month or more, actually, thanks to social media, and owns a marketing company that is now valued at $1.7 million. So this is a woman to listen to. She now travels around the world sharing her business strategies with owners and internet marketers on the latest traffic and lead generation strategies. So welcome, Corinna, to the show, and we're so pleased to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your bio or background that I haven't included?
I think you did a great job. That's pretty much it.
Well, awesome. On the podcast, we'll be talking about essentially, the tips that you have, and looking at maybe the do's and don'ts. So, essentially, there are lawyers listening to this, and for folks out there, what would you say is an effective social media strategy? What are the must type of things that folks should be doing on social media?
Well, the first thing for a business owner is to be clear about their target audience, who they are exactly. A lot of people, when I ask them, well, who's your target audience, they come up with a very vague answer. They actually don't really know who they are. Oh, it's people who need to make more money, or oh, it's people who are divorced. They need to be very clear and precise about who their target audience is, because your marketing will be based on that. So, for example, one exercise I always tell my students to do is to describe to me their perfect member, their perfect customer. A woman, 35 years old, 2 children, lives in the city, or something like that, right? Being very clear, because first of all, your social media strategy will be based on that, and also you will know where to find them, because the more precise you are about what your ideal customer is, then the faster it will be to know where they hang out. So that would be the first one.
Okay, so that's good. I know so many people just say, "Oh, just everyone," and that generally doesn't result in the return that you're looking for. So
absolutely.
And what would be some of the do's on social media, and sharing, like, what should people be doing? Obviously, once they've targeted their audience, what are the things that they should be doing on social media?
Well, understand what the nature of the platform. A lot of businesses who use social media only to generate more sales, use it in a way that's very similar to eBay and Amazon. What I mean by that is they use it as an online booklet for their products and services. And social media is not about that. It's not about displaying your products on a digital platform. It's about interacting and generating leads and engaging in conversations, nurturing existing relationships, uh, starting new relationships. It's all about being social. And companies that are getting the best results are the ones that have mastered that. Meaning they don't go into social media to sell anything in an obvious way, right? Instead, what they do is they start conversations with some of their competitors' customers who are who are disappointed about something. So, for example, I'll give you an example. There was a person who was checking in a big hotel branch, a very famous hotel, and for some reason that person had been waiting for ages at check-in, and he posted on Twitter that it was bad customer service and that he would never book a room in that hotel again. And then a competitor's a, competing hotel saw that and started a conversation with that person. Instead of saying come and stay at our hotel next door, instead they said, well, we hope that they're not inconveniencing you too much and that next time you'll have better luck, or something like that. And that resulted in him going to that hotel and bringing along all his friends to do the same. So it's selling without selling. And I have like tons of examples like these ones.
And what would you say if people are on social media? Do you recommend, the types of things that they should be posting, and what type of, how often they should be posting? Can you speak about that?
Sure, absolutely. There's no rule about that. I like to say whatever you decide to do when it comes to frequency is to stick to it. So if you decide that you'll be updating your profile once a day, then do it once a day consistently. So it's more about being consistent than the volume. And also having in mind before posting that the end goal is for people to be informed or to be entertained or to be moved, because these are the kind of emotions people log into Facebook for. So they either want to be informed about something, they want to have learned something new, they want to have smiled or laughed, or they want to have been moved by a touching comment or a moving story. So the posts have to be one of these three. And the end goal should always be to have a lot of shares, because what social media does is what I call word of mouth on steroids. So you want people to do the word of mouth for you. So you want your fans and your followers to spread the word about you so you don't have to. And so this is where posts come into place, because your post, if it's a good enough post, then your fans and followers will share it. And we've noticed after doing extensive research on Facebook about what gets shared the most are the posts with the most positive connotation, the ones that show stories of selfless acts of love or courage, selfless acts of generosity. So these stories seem to go very viral. So I'm not saying, fill your timeline with that, but include that as well, regardless of what industry you're in, and regardless of whether you're a lawyer or not. Doing that as well, simply because you want to use social media for people to spread the word about you without having you do all the networking and all that, and really using social media as a platform for word of mouth on steroids.
Right, and so what I'm hearing you say is, really it's increasing by using human interest stories, and it's really showing that the person that you are, building your credibility, building your authority, rather than just sticking up an ad about use my services.
Absolutely, absolutely, because people will buy through your story. And also another great idea is to have your customers say tell their story on your social media about using your service or your product. So let your customers, your fans, and your followers do that for you. Invite them to share a story of a positive experience they had with using your product or your service. And when it comes to lawyers, the options are huge. Like there are always interesting stories that have to do with the law. And in some industries that's not possible. If you're a dentist, then sharing things like that becomes a bit more difficult. But when you're a lawyer, you've got a lot of different options.
That's a great idea as far as, sharing in a sense, what the result was, or, if someone was pleased with your services, and, a testimonial in a sense on your social media post.
Absolutely, a testimonial that doesn't really sound like a testimonial, like I would highly recommend XYZ, but more of a story.
Right.
Of the story of the person, and the end result she got from using someone's service or product, and that works really well on social media. And big companies have noticed that, and they now tell their customers, "Oh, take a picture of yourself in a unique location where you're using our product, and the best picture or the most unique location." We find gets a reward or gets a discount coupon or something like that. So big brands on social media are always looking to involve their existing audiences, because they know that their audience can bring in more people for them. So always involving your existing fans, your existing customers, and making them share their story is very important.
Yeah, that's awesome. And in share, so talking about posting human interest stories, posting quality information, helpful information. When is the time, or what could folks do as far as when they are maybe offering a soft approach to promote themselves? Do you have recommendations on that?
Again, there's no rule when it comes to that. I usually say, well, 20% of the time. If 80% of the time you're not selling, then 20% of the time you can be selling. So that's pretty much the rule I've made up myself, judging from my own experience. There's no real rule about that, but if I had to recommend something, I'd say 20% of the time you could be doing a more of a push.
Okay. And would there be anything that folks shouldn't be doing on social media? I mean, some of these may overlap, but is there anything that clearly folks, like the do nots of social media?
Right, it's funny you say the word folks, because every time I hear the word folks, I'm like, oh, that person is American. So I was in Greece, and there were people around the pool in this hotel, and we were wondering where they came from, and then we heard the word folks, and my husband and I looked at each other and we said they're American.
Oh wow, an overused word in the States.
So to answer your question, what not to do, I guess, I mean, there are a lot of things, but one of the main ones I see repeatedly is having not customized social media accounts, where when someone lands on your page or your Twitter profile, people are not really sure what you're about. So having customized accounts, branding that is aligned with your existing branding on your website is important, because you want people to have a similar experience whether they land on your website or your Facebook page. Branding, making it clear in your graphics what your unique selling proposition is, so that people know within 3 seconds whether they can get something out of you or not, whether you're for them or not. And I see too many times when I check profiles on social media that it takes me longer than it should to understand what someone is about and what what they do for people and how they can help people. I shouldn't be looking at 15 posts to understand what they're about. Straight away in the graphics in the Facebook banner or the Twitter background or the Twitter bio, I should be able to clearly understand whether this is for me or not and what I can get as a result of engaging with that person.
Okay, so to be really just clear about who you are, what you do, and be consistent with your branding.
Yes, and reflect your unique selling proposition. So what makes you different from any other lawyer, for example? What makes you unique from any other service? So always have that in mind, because that's what people ask every time they land on someone's profile. Is, what's in it for me? What can I get out of this relationship? So always have that in mind.
Right, that's good to keep in mind. So if you have a marketing hook that distinguishes you or sets you apart, that should be clearly displayed, so that folks, really can identify who you are and what's unique about you, and why,
Yes.
people would want to go to you over another immigration attorney, criminal defense attorney, tax attorney, whatever it may be that you specialize in.
Exactly, and I don't know how it works with lawyers. I'm not too familiar. Luckily, I've never had to hire one. But if you have a success rate, a consistent success rate that and you're allowed to share it or something like that, always say, don't be shy of your successes. If you've gotten consistent results for your customers, say that. Don't be shy. People want results. So if you generated consistent results for your customers, don't be afraid to state it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. For you folks out there, maybe that do a lot of trial work, posting your trial results, hopefully successful ones, or any type of way that you were able to help people save money in civil litigation or what have you. So. And are there any rules to posting? I mean, I know, I guess you said there are no rules, but are there things that people clearly should not be doing on social media to stay away from?
To stay away from a lot of hype. People don't like hype. People hate being sold to, and they definitely don't go onto social media to be sold to. So avoiding hype. Definitely exaggerations, something to avoid, whether it's social media or somewhere else. And avoid again treating social media as an online advertising platform to display your products and services, and instead just use it as a platform to have conversations with people.
And how can one be sure that what they're doing, or what it takes to really have a great marketing social media campaign? How to get high interaction, more traffic, getting more clients. I know you mentioned getting your target audience, but is there a way that folks? Do you have some tips on how to find your target audience once you've identified it on some of the social media sites? Like any search functions or anything you can point to?
Mm-hmm. What I do personally is when I have something in mind, what I usually do is I model what has already worked. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. And the great thing of social media is you get to see what your competitors are doing, are selling, when they're selling, how what the price point is, because there's so much transparency now with social media. So I usually try and avoid to reinvent the wheel, and I go and I look at what my competitors who sell similar products than I do, what they're doing, how they're selling it, and what's been working. So I see, wow, that post got more engagement than this one, so I'll just try and model them. I say modeling, not copying, obviously, but modeling success and not trying to reinvent the wheel. And with social media, with the search functions built in within social media, it's so easy to find anyone. So, for example, if on Twitter you're a lawyer in New York and you want to know what other lawyers in New York are doing on Twitter, and to find out what's working, what's not working, you just type in the search tab on Twitter, lawyer, um, New York, and then Twitter will list all the lawyers in New York, and you can just check who's got the most followers, because you can really judge whether someone's doing something right by the amount of followers they get and by the amount of uh, retweets they get. On Twitter, a share is called a retweet. Um, and you can see the kind of conversations they have, who they're having them with, what they're talking about when they post, when they're updating their Twitter profile. So just modeling success using the search function on the social media platforms, and each social media platform has a search function. So you can implement that strategy regardless of whether you use Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or Pinterest. It works on all social media platforms.
Yeah, so it's awesome, and folks, even if you're not familiar, it's really easy to do. All these platforms, as Corinna said, you just go into a search function, and you can really just conduct your market research right through social media. And if folks, here I am with the
Absolutely.
folks.
It used to be
I keep saying folks again.
feel free.
I'm sorry. Were you going to expand on that?
Yeah, I was wanting to say that kind of information is a gold mine, which used to be extremely expensive to conduct and also very time consuming, and now, thanks to social media, is readily available, in just a few clicks. So it's a gold mine, not to ignore. And because it's there available, people don't use it, they don't value it, when really it's actually worth millions.
Yeah, absolutely. And if lawyers or other business owners out there are listening, and maybe they're just so everyone has busy and active schedules, is there anything that folks could do to automate their social media content, or anything to make it easier to keep up with social media and be visible?
Yes, of course. For me, the best is really investing in people and in proper social media marketers to do it for them. Uh, you know, um, Simply because a lawyer or any business owner should not be updating their social media. It's not the best use of their time. Um, Lawyers should do just what they're good at, and let the marketing, especially social media marketing, to be done by an expert. And there's a lot of people who offer these services at a very good price. There's very good quality at a very affordable price. So it's definitely not the best use of their time to do it themselves. I would say definitely hire an expert to do it for you, so you don't have to worry about all that. You don't have to be missing out on what's really happening on social media. Someone can be handling all that, all the inquiries and all the questions and the comments and all that. Um, Basically, automated by hiring someone to do it for you is the best solution.
That's great. And have you? I know you've worked with so many different industries and areas in business and everything from services to products. But do you have any examples of having worked with lawyers, or how lawyers have used social media that's worked for them in their marketing strategies?
Not a lawyer as such, but similar professions where it's important to have their social media in their own voice. We've worked with authors, established authors, and New York Times bestsellers. Um, Doctors, where what is being said is extremely important, and what is being published is to be monitored very closely. Their reputation online is to be monitored very closely. So we definitely work with people like that with the same sort of caliber of responsibility and job responsibility. So yes, we have, and and what we've noticed is extremely important to have your own voice. So social media should reflect your own voice. And when you hire a social media manager to do it for you, you have to ensure that your social media manager knows how to duplicate your voice. That I find extremely important.
Well, that's fantastic. And I know that we've worked together, and Corinna has worked with a lot of services type businesses, similar to where the legal world is dominated by professional services. That's the work that we do. We don't have a product; it's our time. It's what we offer as an attorney. So, is there, and just as we close up here, Corinna, is there any, if you had one secret to give about social media, and maybe what lawyers or other business owners out there that are listening to this podcast, what they should be doing on social media, what would it be?
I think it's to be listening more than talking. Basically, not use social media as a one-way marketing channel, but instead use it to pull information about their customers, their audiences, their potential customers. Because you can really, social media is the only platform where people have openly shared their age, their gender, their preferences, what they like buying, what they don't like buying, what's happening in their lives right now. So it's a unique place where you can find all that information in one single place. And so tune into that, and use social media to listen to your audience and act upon that, rather than just use it as a one-way marketing channel. This is my stuff, this is great, buy this now, buy this now. So that would be my I guess my last advice, is to listen rather than talk.
Great. And as lawyers, sometimes that's something that we have to work hard at. So to just close the mouth, just listen to what they want, what they need. So
Yep.
so I just with that, I thank you so much, Corinna. And if people want to learn more about you or find you, where could they do that?
We do 3-day workshops around the world, so they can find out more at webbusinessbreakthrough.com. That's webbusinessbreakthrough.com, where we do 3-day seminars around the world.
Fantastic. And I can tell you, having attended Corinna's seminars and workshops, it is not to be missed. So definitely check it out. And if you're even go overseas, but they're in the States as well. So check out that webbusinessbreakthrough.com, and check out where Corinna is next. And I thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you all for listening to this podcast. Until the next time, have an awesome day.